Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Do Bonsai. I'm Scott Winard. Yesterday we had an interesting evening with Luke from the South Yorkshire Bonsai Association. Me and Luke both joined on the same night and met up that night, and we've had a little bit of communications between ourselves. And I went to visit Luke's garden yesterday and did a tour of his bonsai benches, and he very kindly allowed me to record it, and we had a bit of a conversation about the trees that he's got. He's a good guy, he's very clued up, he knows what he's doing, so I hope you enjoy the tour as much as I did. So here we are, we've made it to Luke's house, made it to his back garden, and if we venture around the corner, there he is. Hiya Luke, are you alright? Good to see you. Not too bad, thank you. So look at this for a back garden.
Yeah,
wowzers. So what do you call that wall up at the back?
Yeah, so what it is, when they built it, the houses on the back are obviously higher, so it's actually a type of retaining structure called a crib wall. So it's just like a hardwood. They're like pallets. They're stacked up and then filled with rocks, so the water can drain through.
Because your house is actually north facing at the back.
Yeah.
So
yes.
your wall is south facing.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't want this house originally because it was a north facing garden, but actually the crib wall is nice and south facing because it's so sheltered on the sides. It like creates a bit of a microclimate. So up that wall, it gets really sheltered, really nice sun. The top of it gets sun from sunrise to sunset.
Awesome. So if we go through the, I was going to say keyhole, but
it's actually called,
what would you call that in the architectural world?
It's called a moon gate. I actually got that from Amazon. It's a bit adapted from how they sold it on Amazon. But yeah, it's just
we'll have it as a Stargate, shall we, to the bonsai world. So as you can see, Luke's spent many hours on his garden. It's absolutely fantastic. So what have we got here?
It's a little Contoniaster. I haven't actually had this too long, but it's definitely ready for a repot. I can notice when I'm watering it, it's not percolating through particularly well. There's a girdling root right on the top of it, so I'm going to have my first voyage into that soil next spring. I think it'll last till then, and I'll see if that girdling root can come off, maybe.
Yeah, you've got, yeah, I can see it coming around there. Oh, that's going to be fun for you.
This is again, this is bought this similar time as that one. Actually, this is a little.
Is it an elm?
Yeah, it's a corkbark elm. Corkbark elm, root over rock.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of inverse taper next to the root base, but I think it kind of gets away with it. It's a bit weird for the front actually, because if I spin it round, it's got a better rootage at the back.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, definitely. So I'm
root
not
porn,
sure if when I come to repot, whether I'm going to refront it to this side, maybe move a bit of that foliage out to expose the trunk. Maybe that's the better front. Expose the trunk that side.
I like your. Is it like a marble slate type thing?
It's porcelain tiles, because you could try having ceramic tiles out, but ceramic tiles aren't fired as hot, so they can be prone to frost damage. So generally, if you want tiles outside, they've got to be porcelain, or natural slate would work as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is this. Japanese larch forest planting on a slab. Now this is something that I made myself from whips, and it is definitely also on my repot list. If you look at the bottom, you can see so much root growth that it's actually pushing itself off.
Oh, it's pushing itself away from
off the slab, yeah. And if you look at it, the actual colour is changing to slightly more yellow, so it's obviously not getting the oxygen to the roots that it needs. It's definitely on a repot.
Yep. It makes me sad every time I see a larch. I had all mine potted and ready to go into a forest, and my dog Pete decided he was going to go around, and they'd been knocked over, and he dug them out and he chewed all the roots off. They had one final push of the foliage, at the beginning of this year, I was like, oh, they're going to make it. And I think all that energy went into pushing out those buds. It exploded really well for most of them. And then everything just died back. And the last one that I had totally died back as well. So I'm noticing there's 4 in there.
And yeah, it's the wrong number, isn't it?
Yes,
there was a fifth.
Yeah.
There was a fifth. Didn't make it.
Right. Right.
But I'm thinking of splitting it up and making a mixed forest planting. So I've got a over there's a dwarf Alberta spruce that I was thinking of mixing with it. Maybe getting some other as well to go in with it. But I don't know yet. I don't know. Okay. Maybe.
Well, if we follow the path, we've got a nice little path here, and then a number of bonsais and succulents going on here. You tell me which way you'd like to.
Yeah, so these are the ones that I've taken off the top. They're all just in training at the minute. There's this is an unusual thing. It's a tanuki attempt with a hawthorn. I don't know, that's not a particularly common thing to do, but the thing is, the hawthorn has got the base of it curves round, and it's got nice nabari, but it's got this odd curve on it down here.
Oh, look at that! Yeah,
it's got that odd curve on it, and then the base is there underneath the soil. If I can, spread it out.
I can just see into that. Yeah,
it's actually got down there somewhere. It's actually got quite a nice nabari on it, but it does this weird curve round where it's obviously in the field. It must have been stomped down by something.
Yeah, I've got a strange one at home, and it like comes out and then zigzags up. It's very strange. I'll have to pull that out.
And then when I was digging all the soil out for this back garden, I actually found this pine stump just in the soil, and I thought I'll keep that. It's quite interesting-ish, I guess.
Yeah, it's an added feature.
And it's the curve at the bottom exactly married the hawthorn curve, so I thought maybe I'll try tanuki with them.
Yeah, awesome.
So this is a Taxus plicata that's had an awful growing season. So yeah, these both are in that mould of clay, and maybe that's the problem with this. Maybe there's not enough moisture retention in yeah, so this Taxus plicata has had an awful growing season. I saw someone at the club who had a really nice healthy one, and he said that he'd been putting bio gold on it. Yes, I'm hoping if I sort that out next year, maybe it'll pick up again. But I mean, I've wired the trunk to that shape.
Right, go on, Dawn Redwood.
Yeah, so it's a Dawn Redwood. I bought it. I don't know if you can see if I spin it around like that. So I bought it, and it had like this really odd bend in it.
Right, so we've switched to the phone, so the footage may have changed, and we're back into the Dawn Redwood.
Dawn Redwood, yes. I bought it. It's got this. It had an odd bend in it, which I wasn't really keen on. So probably not the best decision, but I hacked it off, stripped the bark down there. And this was just a small branch on it that I've grown upwards as my new leader. So it's getting some quite nice taper. This has thickened up quite a lot this year. It's had a pretty good growing season, and I'll probably hack it again, pick another leader, get some taper in it. But yeah, it's a full rebuild on that. But it had a nice nabari on it.
It's got some nice bark appearing on it, hasn't it? That's very
nice. It's had a great season. That's in Akadama. Maybe that's the difference.
Quite possibly.
Yes, this is a Scots pine grown from seed. When me and my wife were first dating, we'd go on a few walks and we'd collect pine cones, and I got the seeds from those pine cones, and this is one of the pines that grew from those seedlings. And on this recently, what I did is I'd seen some, both Ryan Neal and Peter Warren were talking about single flush pines, waiting for the growth to harden off and then cutting off the new growth. I've done that on all the low branches, and it has actually backbudded like they said it would. So there's some I don't know if you can see some small backbuds on there. It's backbudded around the trunk there, and on some of these you've got some buds forming as well. There's a bud in the crotch growing there as well. So this is all going to be sacrificial. That's just for thickening. We cut off around there, and I make this section into
very good.
This is an unknown pine. I suspect it's possibly an Austrian black pine or something like that. So this was a collected pine. I've raffia-ed it and put in some movement in the trunk. So this is still recovering from collection really. You can see it's post-collection, the shorter needles it upon, and then this year I've let the needles extend, so we've got much more growth, much more strength in it this year. So next year I'll probably do the same process of cutting off to get back budding as I did for that one.
Cool.
The next one is, I don't know if you can see this particularly well from that angle. Let me move it out a bit. Does that help at all? So this is a Deciduous maple. I bought it for the lower trunk and then the bar in it, which are excellent. But it had two branches on it were really poor. So this one, just beyond there, it had some large thickening and had inverse taper. So I've air layered that off. Just removed it yesterday actually. And on the other trunk, it's got really bad scarring on it. So I'm not going to air layer that off. I'm just going to cut that off. My plan is to take some I grew these long whips out this year.
Yep.
So next year I'm going to strip them back and do a thread graft through there. So I'm going to go in somewhere here and have the thread graft coming out the back and then wire it up like that one. And then all this is going to get cut off, all with the bad scarring. And then there's a long term on that. It's not going to look good for a long time. And this one is a European hornbeam. So this branch here was just started from a bud like 2 years ago. I've been growing out to thicken it, so got some good thickness on there. So my plan is, so this is going to fill, like you see the silhouette, this is going to fill like this area here.
Yeah.
But it's got no taper on it at all. So what I was thinking is another thread graft of one of these whips around, maybe somewhere through here, maybe somewhere through here, and thread graft in a sacrificial branch to thicken out the trunk of the barn because it's got no taper. And then
it's got some nice roots down there at the bottom.
Yeah, the bar is good on it. And then I'm thinking, because this forms a bar branch with that one, I'm thinking this one's got to go, and then maybe thread graft through that knot just out to there, just that bit there, and form another branch up there, which is going to fill in what I lose from cutting that off.
Nice and technical.
Yeah, actually I've never tried. My two thread graft projects are right next to each other. I've never actually tried a thread graft before. So next
Watch
year,
this space.
Yeah, so next year I'm going to be doing 2 thread graft trees at once. Yeah, so this is a white pine on black pine rootstock. I mean, you can just see the graft there. It's quite a neat graft. So it had a long straight section on there, and I was trying to do some bending on it, and I accidentally snapped the top off. Fully snapped it off. So it's
now a feature.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to stay like that. It sits there like just as a trophy of shame for me snapping it. I'm just trying to work out what to do with it. But like since the snap, it's put out lots of buds from places I wouldn't expect it to put out. There's some around here. Yeah, it's obviously had a lot of vigor in it, and losing that top has caused it to, I don't know, panic. I think it's got to put some more growth out. So yeah, it's interesting one.
Yeah, well, it's obviously no longer calling for it here, so it's. Yeah. I don't know whether it's unlocked and said okay, we'll have some back budding elsewhere, because obviously it locks off, doesn't it? Whilst it's got the flow up the trunk.
So this is a Chinese elm that was it was originally. It came up and it bent on there, and then it came up like that, and it like a number 4. So I've hacked off the top, cut it back a bit, and then I just left it like that for ages, and it grew this long whip that came straight out like that. And I thought, well, I'd try a cascade with it. So I've done a cascade, but it's got too much trunk there for the cascade. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to air layer it about there, and then grow another elm from the trunk section, and now this is the nice cascade because it's got too much there. So I think there
That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, so I've had some reasonable luck with air layers, so hopefully that'll work. Yeah, so this is my full white pine. So it's white pine on white pine stock from seed. It just sulks. It just hates everything about life, that tree. It was last year, it had really poor growth because it just wasn't getting enough oxygen to the roots. Everything came out really yellow. And then I repotted it at the start of this year, and I suspect I've taken too much root off it. I don't think I've been rotating it enough, so I'll just show you the back. So it's thrown some branches at the back. Yeah, so this branch is dead. It was a really important rear branch as well. There's the branches up here that are going. But to be honest, I needed some layering in there anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that one. That one I'm gutted about. I'm gutted about that one.
Yeah, it's a nice branch.
Yeah, but it's in great soil now, so the growth came out really nice. You can see the difference in last year's yellowish needles and this year's much greener, bluer needles, especially on that one. You can see the yellow ones and the blue ones. So hopefully we can have some good years in that. Maybe I can pull it back. But yeah, it's a huge disappointment, that tree. Never buying a full white pine again. So this is a little English oak. So it's just a garden centre one. Obviously buried up to there, and I saw that tape and I thought, oh, that'd be great. I bought it in the winter, so it had no foliage on it. When I got it back, I exposed the taper, and it just kept on getting wider. I was like, oh, this is great. This is going to be a great tree.
You thought it were Christmas, didn't you, as you was exposing that?
And then I gave it a little scratch test, and it was just fully brown. Fully brown. Under all the cambium was brown, all the way down to the root. Scratched it was all brown. I thought, I bought a dead tree. And I just left it in this pot, and it's just started sprouting. So I was really happy about that.
Good in the end.
Yeah, so because it was so weak, I've just let it keep everything it sprouted. But these three definitely have to come off. Too low down.
Yeah, they're all a bit close together.
Yeah, they've caused a knuckle, but I just felt like it just needed the foliar mass. So that's going to be my new leader. I might keep that as a first branch, but them three at the back have got to go.
Yeah.
Chinese elm. So this one is always been my test out new things on tree. So if
that's a nice looking tree to have as a test tree.
Yeah, no, I've always it's everything. It's been through some punishment. This, so you can see there's let's show you this. So where I've used a branch splitter on it, trying to get some tight bends in there. Yeah, I did.
She's very forgiving, this one.
Oh, Chinese elms are. There's a gin on a deciduous, a bit unusual.
Yeah, they normally don't last very long. How long has that been there?
No, elms do.
Elms are all right.
Yeah, elms.
Most deciduous, they just rot back, don't they? And that's...
Yeah, no, but they used to use elms for water piping. They used to hollow out elm trunks, and so elms are pretty good for that. But yeah, I think it looks weird if you lime and sulphur a deciduous gin.
Right.
But I think the natural. So I just used like a Ronseal wet rock wood hardener on it, so it keeps like the silvery colour. But yeah, it's a bit unusual. I don't admit it's a bit unusual.
It's lovely.
This one is one of my favourite trees. This is an Aleppo pine. They put on this juvenile foliage initially, and then it'll candle up, and it'll produce candles like all the way through spring and well into summer, and then the candles will grow and put on these mature needles, which are much longer, like a 2 needle. What I do is I just let it grow everything it wants to grow all the way through the year, and then like midsummer I'll fully prune it and style it. So that is just like a month after it's full style, so you can see it's starting to put these new shoots out. They're all growing upwards as they're all padded down like that before. Yeah, that on top is a very happy Japanese larch. That's the one I took to the club.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah, It's got a few problem branches, which I was asking for advice about, but other than that, it's a thoroughly happy Japanese
It's a
larch.
lovely tree. And when you come in and said it's got problems, I looked first and thought, I wish I had those problems.
Yeah, it's got a great bark on it. But yeah, you can see around where those first branches are coming out, there's 3 branches all come from the same place. It's forming a huge knuckle on it.
Yeah, that was your main problem, weren't it? Which one to
Yeah.
take off every time you come up with a...
And it's got quite a severe crossing root that's round the back that you probably can't see on the... Trying to get up there and spin it round so you can get it on camera. Can you get that? Yeah, that one. That big crossing root
the
coming
big
down.
crossover
Yeah.
root, yeah.
So I've not actually been into the soil on that, so I don't know how much is on it. But I mean, the size of that root, you can be pretty sure there's a lot
There'll
on
be
it.
a lot on it. And
Yeah, but there was a video from Bjorn home,
Right, yeah.
and he had a I can't remember if it was a cryptomeria or something like that, but he had a similar issue, and he was saying what his plan was just to slowly take a bit out of the root over time to weaken the root, so there's less feeder roots off it, so over time that you can get rid of it. So here is the air layer that I took off the Deciduous maple. So I only just separated that yesterday, in fact. So it still needs a few of the leaves taken off it, because that's too many leaves for the amount of root mass it's got in it. I kind of ran out of time, so it's just in with all its leaves in there.
plenty of solar panels to put a bit of energy down below.
Yeah, but if it gets hot, there's plenty of places for it to be losing water from.
True.
Yeah, so this is a Chinese elm root over rock that I made myself. So it was a relatively cheap £30 Chinese elm that already had that trunk movement in it, but it had some weird things about going. There was this branch here, came out to here, and then it just bent straight up. It was forming part of the apex.
Right.
So I cut that fully back and I've reformed that pad myself. And then the rock is an aquarium rock. I think it's called Dragon Rock or something. So it's in 3 slabs that are formed like that, and I've cemented the base and put some quartz in with it as well. And then I put the Chinese elm on it, wrapped it all in cling film, and buried it in a bucket for a couple of years for it to grow them roots on it.
I can see the quartz, yeah.
Yeah, so that one's been a success story. Yeah, it's done well. That.
It's worth more than 30 quid.
Well, to be fair, it was 30 quid for the tree. I spent 50 quid on the rocks. I
Well
suspect-
spent, I would say.
Well, I think I was robbed.
Well,
'cause
now it's all one, it's well spent,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and then I think it was 20 quid for the pot. So yeah, I hope it's worth more than.
It's come
100
together
quid.
well. You've done, you've done well, very well, definitely.
So this is an unknown species. I suspect it's Scots pine, but it's very pale. But when I got it, it was in like a peat-based soil, and it was so compact, and I suspect there just wasn't any oxygen against the roots, which is why there's not much chlorophyll in the needles. So I've repotted that. It was like buried up to there, and I uncovered this beautiful
Size of
split
that.
trunk. Yeah, it was like Christmas on but it's got a crossing root at the back, which I'm slowly cutting into. Slowly cutting into to try and weaken it. The same principle, because that's a bit too thick for me to just cut off. There's some small ones around here that I took the plunge in and cut off. Yeah, now that's in a pumice-rich, pumice, akadama and lava rock.
Oh, it should be perfect for it, that, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like 2 parts pumice, 1 part lava rock, 1 part akadama, with a chopped sphagnum top on it, which is what you can see. Yeah, I suspect it was a cultivar of the Scots pine called a Nesbit Scots pine, which is a slightly yellower Scots. which it could be, or it could be that the soil wasn't right, or I don't know. We'll see.
I'm sure there's somebody somewhere that knows what it is just by looking at it.
Yeah,
There's some
well,
very clever people out there.
Yeah, if anyone knows, then please put a comment in.
I look and I go, huh?
Yeah, I'd love to
And
know.
then somebody will say, that is actually this, that and the other. So there's some very clever people out there.
So this one is dwarf Alberta spruce that was in the neglected corner of a nursery in the 80% off aisle. I picked that up for £4.
Oh my
There are
word.
actually 3 other identical trees, all for sale for £4 in the same nursery. I cut off all of the extending buds on the top to try and encourage things further down. Next year I'll cut everything off from here and here to try and encourage things down here. So it's just a gradual process to try and encourage growth lower down.
Long-term vision on that one.
Yeah, so it's had it's been a great year for spruce. That's done really well. My other spruce have done really well. So it's on its 3rd flush for the year. This one like maybe 2.5. That one definitely 3 flushes. That is a Alberta blue spruce, I think. A Katsura maple that I found in the garden centre. It was probably overpriced for its size. It was 20 quid, but it had this, unlike all the others that it's with, it has this great root flare, and then the branch on it was quite nice as well. I've taken an air layer from here, but I think I've cut it too close to the node. I think it's gonna die back beyond that node. So I really wanted to keep that branch, but I don't think that's gonna work out.
I think 20 quid's about right. You don't get anything cheaper than that at the nurseries for maples. Yeah, very expensive, and the bigger they get very, very expensive, don't they?
Unless you go to Asda. I mean, this one, this is a Orange Dream. It's got a decent root flare. You can't really see on it, but there's a little stick. Can you see that? It's got quite a nice root flare on it. 3 quid from Asda. I thought, whack that in the ground, let it grow.
Oh, you can see the root down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Asda, Morrison's.
Yeah.
Those sort of places, when you walk in, they've always got something on show.
Yeah, you hear some horror stories about verticillium wilt occasionally from those, but this is another neglected tree from the back of the same nursery.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is a Korean fir that cost me 8 quid. It was like way up here. I've chopped it down to its first few branches, and I've carved a lightning strike into it. Because what it was is it had a very its roots. There's a gap in the roots here, so I thought rather than trying to grow a root out to be the same thickness as them, I thought if I carved lightning strike all the way down, I can explain that gap in the roots by that way.
Yeah. That's nice.
So it was in such poor condition when I got it, which is why it's 80% off. Yeah, it was in a shaded corner. It wasn't getting the light it needed. It looked like they were neglecting watering it, and yeah, all the vigor was in the bit that I cut off. But it is coming around. It's putting new buds out to this growth that I'm keeping. So yeah, I've got high hopes for that. I think it could really turn around.
Excellent.
Yeah, so these are more that I've taken off the top. A few of my little projects.
Okay.
So this one, Chinese elm. So I did a massive. So this is going to be a really short tree. Did a massive cut on it there. Cut it below any growth it had on it.
Yeah.
And fully grown this new leader out of it. So it's almost getting to the kind of size where I'm thinking about making a cut on it now. Actually, it's almost a reasonable size compared with that trunk.
Yeah, it's grown in very well, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe I'll cut it, I don't know, maybe about here,
Yeah.
and have this forming the apex somehow. This is probably going to be just a sacrificial branch, just thicken it up down there, and that'll come off fully. And this is going to be my first branch, I think. It's actually grown some suckers from its roots somewhere. I don't know where they're coming from.
Oh yeah, you can just see them in the...
Yeah, these two. Presumably they come from the roots. They're definitely shiny down. But yeah, need to come off. And loads of this Irish moss that drives me crazy. Yeah, so this is a privet, ligustrum, I think called.
Yep.
So that used to be a topiary. So it was a straight trunk up to about there with a ball on it. It was for sale for 40 quid. I thought, I'll try that.
Better have that.
But the reason, the thing is, I originally cut it about there,
Right.
hoping for growth out there, but all the growth came out right at the bottom. All of it came out at the bottom. That was my highest up branch that they ever put out. So I thought, well, if that's what it wants to do.
Got some nice root action down there again, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit eagle's claw.
Yeah.
So we've got
Talons.
these. Yeah, we've got these feet at the front, and then we've got one at the back. I think there's. I think
Yeah,
I think what I've done is that I've cut into the cambium and packed it with sphagnum with some root hormone to try and get to one out that side. So yeah, it's a little bit eagle's claw, but as a front that'd be quite nice. Yeah, I think since I've worked on it, I think it's chucked this branch. I don't think it's going to grow that one, but there seems to be growth from that one. I think it's chucked this one as well. Unfortunately, I think we're down to these two, which is a shame. But there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, so I brought this one down because I had lots of hornbeam on the front, and I've got loads on my top there, and this is just one of them. Just as an example of what they're like. So they've got the roots that come quite high up. But this one's quite nice. It's actually on. So if I can uncover it, it's on a tile. There's the corner of the tile.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's spread the roots out of the tile and then put it in 100% molar clay. And you can see that it has dried out a couple of times. Some of the leaves not looking that happy. So I think that's molar clay.
Keeping the water to itself and not sharing.
Yeah, it just needs some loam-based soil in with it, I think, in the future. This is a sessile oak. I got it and it was in one of those blue glazed pots.
Yeah.
And it's like quite a lot of the root was exposed, and you could like almost see underneath the base of the trunk, because the roots kind of do this weird curve. So I like trying to put it on a mound so that the roots kind of grip the mound a bit.
Yeah, it's like a top of a hill, last standing.
Yeah, I mean it's all right, but I think when I repotted, I didn't want to take too much root off because I did a summer repot on this. So I think the level needs to be out there.
Yeah.
But it's slightly more mounded than it needs to be at the minute. But yeah, I like this tree. What I'm planning on doing is these lower branches are far too thin for that size on an oak.
Yeah.
So I've not actually. So I think I've cut that one. I think generally I've not cut these at all, but that's as far as they extended.
Trying to let them grow out and thicken up the
next
branches.
year, I'm gonna let these grow right out and just trim the top. You can see why it's put on its second flush. It's put on these really nice, delicate, small leaves for its second flush. But it only second flushed at the top. Didn't put anything down here at all.
It's teasing you. It's teasing you with these side branches.
Yeah, I think it's not sunny enough, this location here, because it's kind of shaded by the house. So I think I might try and move it to a sunnier location next year, see if I can encourage more growth on it. But yeah, it's got loads of fertiliser on it.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Luke, thank you very much for allowing me to come round and check out your trees and record the benches. We did have some technical issues, but hopefully it didn't cause too much viewing problems, and maybe we won't get that in the future. So it's time to carry on with today's work for me here, and what I'll do is I'll record that and let you guys see that. But for now, obviously, have a great rest of your day, make the most of it. if you go outside, wear a mask if you can. Be kind to others, animals, and the planet. And as always, we'll see you again in the next one.